Yo, so the opinions and views expressed in this podcast are that of our own and the future Bachelor podcast only, and not affiliated with any outside party or entity or anything like that. This fun podcast, though, may include some adult language.
Future Bachelor podcast.
You know, since we're doing some new stuff, why don't we do some new stuff? This that time we talk about Bachelor stuff on our show. Guys, we are back. Bachelor is back, baby. And I thought it was a pretty good first episode.
It wasn't. I'll be honest. We all know I hate the first episode. I didn't hate this one that much.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I don't think it was
I guess
great.
we'll get into it and we can kind of have a thought of why it was like, you know, a better premiere than most. But Veronica, well, before we get started, I just want to also say shout out to everybody finding us on YouTube. Shout out to everybody that's subscribing to us. Make sure you put that like button on there because it really helps us out. If you want more of this content, we do this weekly. So Future Bachelor is the place to get all your Bachelor Nation content. YouTube, shout out to y'all. Shout out to all our subscribers. And keep it going. But V, now enough of that. Why don't we get into the show? Where do we start?
Well, we start with our typical entrance montage, except it's a little different because they show they start the show with Clayton, recording himself on his phone, which I feel like they've been doing more in these past years, where they kind of like make it seem more genuine or more whatever, where it's all like, here's
spontaneous.
Me recording a video of myself, like make it seem a little bit more relatable to the audience.
While it was happening, I was thinking like, what would happen if like my mom, like I did it with my mom, she would be like, first of all, like making sure that you have to like make sure they look good, like, you know, you can't be showing your mom all wild on TV. I mean, she's beautiful, but you know what I'm saying. And then the mom is all just asking all the questions, like, what's going on? Why are you here? What's like? If my mom would go crazy, probably just like, you know, with the anticipation. But it was just funny to see him interact with his mom in this sense.
It was funny, and they walk in very typical like Missouri house with all the crosses immediately when you walk in. I was like, here we go.
Yeah. They also do his little backstory and show, you know, the college that he played for and, you know, how he got into
the college. Don't just say the college.
I'm just saying. I was setting it up for you to talk about college. It. So
you mean my alma mater?
Yes,
you
exactly.
Mean University of Missouri, the first and greatest journalism school?
Mm-hmm. Weird flex.
MIZCOU. It's not a weird flex when it's the truth.
I know. Actually, I was supposed to wear that hoodie that Zach gave me. I completely forgot about it, but I was gonna put on the Mizzou hoodie for you today and for the start of it. But just know it's in my closet. It's in there. I'm saving it. But yeah, so I thought it was cool, like, you know, seeing them. At this point, we actually get into seeing our new host, which was interesting, right?
Jesse Palmer.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Before that, we see his hometown of Eureka, Missouri, which is, as someone who knows people from Missouri.
Yeah. I mean, it was interesting to see his town come out.
First of all, he's close to St. Louis. St. Louis ain't it. Everyone knows, if you've ever heard me talk ever, or if you know me at all, I don't fuck with St. Louis.
Oh, man.
St. Louis is the worst city.
Okay.
I hate it.
Never been.
I hate St. Louis.
I'll take your word for it.
Oh, it is the worst. And even and I have one of my very good friends is from St. Louis. She knows how I feel about St. Louis. Mm-hmm. Awful city, awful town. One of my other best friends went to St. Louis University, so I would visit her. Hate that city.
Wow, okay.
Could never be about it. But, you know, we're just really catering to that middle America. It's just white bread stuff. And we get our white bread host, Jesse Palmer, who's all like, I too was once a lead, and I too played football, but now I'm married. Who cares about me?
Happily married. I just want to let you all know that I'm not out here just like hosting The Bachelor, all singled out here. You know, I'm not just. I know I was on the show. I didn't marry the person that I was on the show with, but I am married.
Nope, he did not.
Yeah. So I thought that was funny, but I mean, I don't know. There was something about it that just felt right. Like I think like, you know, when we were looking at all these different hosts in the last year that have been kind of popping up, it just felt Right.
He felt corny enough?
No.
I got corny vibes.
I didn't really get corny vibes.
I got corny vibes because he's all like this or that. He made like corny jokes.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, he just looked comfortable.
I literally
to me,
just
though.
I'm like, you guys look the same. I'm going to let you disappear into the background because you're adding nothing for me.
I mean, to be honest, I had the opposite effect to be honest, because like I felt like, you're used to seeing like Chris Harrison on there, and to have a new face to be like, I'm the new host, and he just kind of owned it. And as later on, like, when he gets to talk to Clayton a little bit, it's just kind of cool that they're both, it's the first time for both of them. So
that they're like clones.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but yeah. So we got that. Where are we at right now with it?
I mean, so before, like, we get all the prep for them. Like, they're getting excited. They're back at the mansion. Interesting, yes. Great. We love that. But one of the big things, we're starting to see all the little, like, preview of the girls roll through. Some of them that stick out are Susie, and I think it's Rachel. She's the one who's a flight instructor. I thought she was cool. We've got like Jane. I think she's at Harvard or Yale Law. She's at Yale. Like, we've got a whole bunch of them that are way too fucking smart to be on this show. And then we've got a bunch of nurses, and I'm like, no wonder why there's a nurse shortage as we're dealing with this pandemic.
Right.
Because they were there. Mm-hmm. And then, so we're seeing like some of the cream of the crop in these opening sequences. And I'm like, okay, wow, maybe I'm gonna like the majority of these women. Some of them, I'm like, a lot of them seem like they're too good for Clayton. Like, I'm like, these just seem like, I don't know. Some of them, I just really am all like, ladies, like, I want you to not. But one of them who was part of that was Salley. And Salley gets the most screen time out of any of the contestants. I think Bachelor Data pulled it, and she got like 7+ minutes, mm-hmm. which you're like, that doesn't seem like that much time, but you got to really factor in the commercials or whatever. But Salley is someone who we talked about weeks ago, not really knowing who she was, because there had been things swirling around how somebody had found her registry for her wedding that obviously is not happening, didn't happen. And that was, set to be in September. And that spins into the whole issue with her being on the show. So they do a lot of little confessionals with her where she's like getting real up in her feels, really feeling like, I don't know what to do. Today's the day that I'm supposed to get married. As the day that they're filming the limos, September 25th, 24th, something. Yeah. The day she's supposed to get married. And so somehow the producers decided, they're like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to bring her to Clayton's suite hours before the limo entrances so that they can talk. And it was super awkward to me because it's like, they obviously were like, here's his door. And it was like, knockety knock knock. And then,
she's like, can I get a hug? It's like, who are you?
The best part is she says, Clayton? Question mark.
Like, yes. Is that you? Yeah, it must be a lot though, because all right, first of all, what my mind's going through is like, is her reaction to all this because maybe she knows that people are starting to talk about her out in the real world.
She can't know that.
Well,
there's no way.
Well, maybe she's starting to already feel bad about it, but like the fact that like, she comes in and Clayton hears her out, he's doing his best to kind of like, hear her out and feel
She's
her.
just emotionally dumping on this man that she just met.
I know, that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh my God, if that was me in real life and some girl just started to like, I'm just like, oh my God, this is insane.
Like literally just met.
Yeah. So, like, I mean,
he's trying to get ready. He's got hours before, because he's a dude. He's got hours before he has to even put the suit on.
Right. But he ends up, there's some type of vibe going on, and he goes and grabs a rose and
he's like, let me go
back.
outside for a moment. I'm personally thinking like, wow, homeboy is like, what the hell is happening?
No, I knew he was going for the rose. I knew that's what he was doing.
I had no idea. I thought that's insane. That's asinine that he went and got a rose. He doesn't even know this bitch. Well, and he's all like, I feel like we have a connection.
No, but like they both felt it.
I really want to like prove this to you so that you stay.
You know when you just like you talk to someone and sometimes you're like, I think there was something there. Like
I couldn't even see that between them though. There's just no way.
I could see it definitely in her. I mean, look at it. Like she's a person that's seen this person that was on TV. Now she's actually meeting him. She's a little like, you know, celebritied by him. But at the same time, you know, I think she, you know, was deciding. She took forever to decide. Like she called somebody, but she took forever to decide. And at some point, she comes back and I thought she was gonna say yes, which I feel like she should have. She really should have. At that point, you're already there. You're already.
My thing is like, why even come on the show? Why even come on the show? Because you kind of know because you went through trying out for the show. You could be brought on to like seasons later. You could like try out for one season, be brought on seasons later. You could do whatever. So like, who's to say like she could have like initially tried years ago or whatever. My thing is like, okay, were you in such a tight relationship? I'm like, it seems a little iffy because obviously her ex-fiance must have cheated on her or something because her whole thing was like there was trust issues. And that seems like a cover-up for being like somebody cheated. I'm gonna assume him.
Well, she ends up like, you know, getting, you know, a rose, but she doesn't accept it and goes home.
She goes home before the show even begins, before the show is even started.
So that was hilarious because
already outing. Which then, okay, so she had a bachelorette party August 14th. She then like. People found photos from some sort of like, I think, let's see, some sort of like Mexico trip that she went on with, I guess her ex-fiance was like early 40s or like around 40 because it seems like she went on a trip to celebrate one of his friends' 40th birthdays. And then they like, so now there had been like pictures that her friends were able to post from this trip because it seemingly was a couple of months after, it was like, I think it was maybe like October or November. So it would have been, you know, a couple of months ago, and her ex-fiance was there and she was next to him. So people are like, what's going on here? Like, this seems a little weird.
I mean, she is a little weird in general. So
do we think that she's going to come back?
I don't know.
I hope not.
I really hope not either. She kind of sucked, but no offense. Well, from there we got them at the house now, like at the mansion, and the limos are pulling up. And I've never seen anyone like a bachelor or a lead react the way Clayton did to the first limo pulling up. Like maybe he heard all the girls screaming in the limo, obviously,
yeah, probably.
But he got weirdly excited to the point where I was like cringing, like uncomfortable.
I'm telling you, and I've been on TikTok, and these Mizzou girls are already ready to be like, I mean, like, I had a thing with like Clayton at Mizzou, like I know he's weird, and like all this shit. Like people have the tea ready. They're like, let me drop my little tea back in. Mizzou girls are coming out of the woodwork. They're ready to fucking play. So I'm just interested to see how that's all going to go. But yes, Homeboy was excited for this first limo as they're all screaming about how tall he is before they get out.
Oh yeah, that's always an annoying thing to me when I don't obviously because girls love tall guys. We all know that. But the thing is, it's like, oh God, to see it over and over again, like it's almost like
that's all he's got going for him.
Well, it's almost like he didn't actually. I didn't feel like it was like him doing it. Like what's his name, Thomas was doing on Bachelor in Paradise. You know how he just kept bringing it up.
Well, yeah.
But like, you know, the girls kept bringing it up to Clayton, and you know, for him to even be like,
well, because they have nothing to work off of. Homeboy barely got to be on Michelle's season. They know nothing about him.
Right. So, you know, let's talk about some of these entrances. How'd you feel about them?
So the first full limo was pretty tame. It was like pretty normal. They did like some just little like puns or jokes. I think Susie came in with the weird hand buzzer thing, and I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, a lot of them I felt like fell flat. I mean, the editing made it not seem that bad, but like I was like, oh my goodness, like
it wasn't until like the second or third limo. I don't really know how many limos there are, but that first round of like girls was all pretty normal. And then it was like after then, that's when it started getting weird. That's when it just started getting like, we had a girl with a boa constrictor. We had a girl who must be from the Northeast because she called what I call shooters, like airplane shooters. She called them nips. and she was all like, oh, like blah blah blah, let me get out my nips, and like homeboy was like ready to say something. He was ready for a show, and he was actively drooling over Kira, the doctor, who was in her like doctor's coat and lingerie.
Yeah.
Which, led to some casual slut shaming by some of the other women. And then
I thought it was pretty classy for what it was. Like, it's like, she was wearing lingerie, but the coat covered, a majority of it. You just get to see a couple sneaks when she's like, maybe the wind blows, but
maybe the wind blows.
Sorry. But yeah, so we have some interesting entrances for sure, and she was definitely one of the most beautiful ones. But all these girls are very pretty. I'm regardless of their entrances, like all of them seem pretty cool, I guess.
One of the entrances that we see and then we never see her again is Sam. She rolled up in a bikini in like a bubble bath. And she,
Oh yeah,
says,
they blurred her behind out.
Of course, she says something about like her bubbly personality. Let me go inside, get dressed, and I'll see you in there. We never see her. No, audience, we never see her in there because
wait, she gets. Oh, I'll ask later. But yeah, I thought it was pretty funny. I mean, that one was not one of the worst ones I've seen on there.
I don't think it was bad.
I think one of the girls straight up was like, I'm not going to say what I was supposed to say, but nice to meet you, and I will see you inside. Which, at the last second just kind of Hail Mary and got nervous, but everyone seemed a lot nervous, and they made it through. Anything like that stood out to you really out of the entrances with the girls before we get inside?
I feel like they're trying to make, I believe it's Shanae.
Mm-hmm.
She rolled in, so like one girl rolled in on like a little toy. They keep doing this thing. They did it last season where, somebody rolls in on a toy truck and then somebody rolls in on a real truck.
Yeah.
And like Shanae rolled in on the real truck and like slammed into the toy truck, and people are like, oh my God, like some of the main girls from the first limo stood and watched like everybody else come in, and they're all like, oh my God, we got to look out for her. She just ruined another girl's entrance. She's definitely like blah, blah, blah. She's bad news.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is it.
What was the name of the girl that, tried to go real sports with him and bring him outside and talk football at first and then eat
Claire.
chicken wings? Yeah, so let's talk about Claire a little bit, because that's kind of, the drama of the episode, right?
Time of the night, yes. So Claire, she's a spray tanner from Virginia, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought that, she was gonna.
I think she was the one actually that bailed on her entrance. Like, I think she was the one that was like, right? I don't remember her entrance, but I think she was the one that was like, I was gonna say something else, but I'm not going to anymore. But
yeah, I think it might have been her.
But yeah, so she ends up bringing them outside, right? And they
has
got
a whole little tailgate set
Yeah.
up. She beats them in bags, cornhole, whatever you want to call it. I call it bags. And then they've got some chicken wings, and she seems to be a little tipsy tips. She seems to be a little drizzity.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other girls, the girl who keeps talking about sauce, I forget her name. She comes in.
The spicy girl.
Yeah, she says sauce like 50 times. I'm like, we get it.
Oh man, I thought she was gonna look so good. I thought she was gonna look so good if she didn't really take him inside to try more different sauce, because he was like about to try some ranch on a chicken wing or something like that, and then she brings him inside to try some more spicy sauce or something. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, why do people do this?
There has to be somebody with a food fetish on the production team. There has to be.
I mean, these shows, they always have like an eating challenge, or food just kind of.
Yeah, but like it seems like they've ramped up in these last several seasons. I'm like, what are we?
But
especially, I don't know if it's like because they used to like never show people eating on the show, and now they're all like, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna like over show them eating because people got weirded out that we never show them eating, but it's literally because of like sound stuff. But whatever.
But she comes in and interrupts Claire, and Claire literally. I mean, obviously, if she's a little tipsy, it's embarrassing. Like, it's like, she's just sitting there and she's like, no, don't go. And he's like, nah, I got to go, saying like he's trying his best to like fix the situation. It's awkward as hell. And he ends up going with the new girl, and she ends up sitting there eating a chicken wing or something.
As one does. I know. It made me crave some wings, to be honest.
It did too for me, but
I was like, you know what sounds good right now? Some lemon pepper wet.
Yo, do not eat on the first night. Rule number 1. Or like, do it behind like a wall or something like that. So
why is that a rule?
I mean, they always will make you look bad. Like I remember what it was this.
I honestly didn't think she looked bad. I thought
she looked horrible, not just
you.
because of like the eating, but I just thought like it was bad from the beginning, from when she walked out. Yes, she talking to someone that's into sports like you. I mean, I'm not a big sports person, but I just can't imagine him being that into talking about football on this day. Like, it's just like, I don't know. And I think she came out strong with the sports talk. And then I
think she was just trying to be like, this is what I'm interested in. I know you're interested in it too.
I don't think he's that interested in it, though. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like, yes, he's into sports, but obviously,
it was his entire life up until now.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to tell you right now, from my perspective of what I watched, I don't care if he's into football. She bringing it up and doing like the whole tailgate thing wasn't it for him. He wasn't into it. He was not about her. And that's why she
I think generally he was just overwhelmed. I don't think it had anything to do with the tailgate thing. I think he's just generally overwhelmed. And I think she had like a strong personality of being like, I won the game. And he's like, okay. And then they're like, let's have some wings and like, whatever. I just feel like I don't even think it was like because she was talking about football.
I'm just saying whole thing as a guy, and especially one that doesn't like sports, like the whole thing was just like, this kind of sucks. And I get why he wanted to leave this situation and go with somebody else. But, she sat there and like I was trying to say before, like the whole eating thing on the first night, they always do a bad edit. Like they'll make you look bad for trying the celery that you brought on your the guy that had the mobile home last time. And then she goes and eats and she starts spiraling. Like honestly, she's just like in her head, and she a lot of us will, when they're defensive, you start like talking shit, and especially on a TV
going around the house saying he sucks, guys, like I hate him, like whatever, like
oh my goodness,
saying stuff about like how she's like, yeah, I mean like whatever, and like they're all like, girl, what are you saying? Like, aren't you here for him? Like what? Like,
I mean, that's what this whole show is about, and she's kind of like, starting to unravel, and I think it's just a like defense thing. Like, she's obviously feeling stupid. She felt stupid in that moment, and people will start talking and being like, I hate him, or nah, he's not it for me, because you had a bad interaction. You feel embarrassed, and it's a bad look all around. So she ends up, who was the one that actually brought it to his attention?
I'm trying to remember what girl it was, which
the way she presented, she was like, I feel like you should know that there's someone in the house right now saying that she hates you, and it's only the first night. And he's like, what? And he ends up going up to Claire and being like, hey, can I talk to you for a second? And confronts her straight up about her actions and stuff. So he's like, are you saying that you hate me? And she's like,
no, I just could never date America's sweetheart. Like, you're just whatever. Like, you'd hate me. Like, all this shit.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I'd chew him up and spit him out. Like, those are the type of stuff she was saying. And it was just like, you are going home. And, she ends up, as embarrassed as it probably was, like he starts walking her through the house in front of all the girls, and what's up. He's about to walk her out. She doesn't even say bye to anybody. She doesn't do whatever. And
why not? Yeah, I wouldn't.
I mean, I would be, at some point I'd be like, bye girls, it was nice to meet you guys. Or if she obviously was so embarrassed, she just wanted to get out of there and not see anybody's face. It's embarrassing. It's just an embarrassing situation all around. So that happens. He comes back and he's like, yep, I'm here. If anybody wants to leave right now, they're not here for me, or they're on some other shit, like you can just go. And everyone's like, no, I'm good.
Which makes me think, I think that what's her friend Sam, the bathtub girl, must have already left before this too, because that's the reason why we don't see her for the rest of the episode, is she like, had a talk with him, wasn't vibing, was just like, well, I'm not going to take up space when other girls are actually interested, and she left on her own accord. before the
really?
rose ceremony.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I mean, they might
So
have
I
not
wonder
shown.
if that happened before, and that's kind of why he said, like, if anybody else wants to leave, like, you can go.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe, they didn't show that because there's already a girl that went home on her own accord,
Right.
so it's
Right.
like
He's down 3
I mean,
before
he's definitely-
even roses get out.
they said
technically.
he said he was the first bachelor to get denied the first rose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So would that technically have been a first impression rose though?
That's what I wanted to know, because
Yeah.
I was like, would that have been, I mean,
That would have taken away from the first impression rose. Because
right.
it's
Yeah,
not-
which
it's-
would have caused more drama than I feel like it's worth. So I feel like it was probably for the best.
Oh my goodness.
that-
The drama that would have ensued if she had stayed though and kept that rose he had offered her.
Yeah.
The girls would have flipped. But yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it. He does the rose ceremony and it's and like for
Well,
the first
Teddy gets the first impression rose before
Oh
we get
yeah,
to the
yeah,
rose
yeah.
ceremony.
Teddy. I really like Teddy. Let's talk about her a little bit.
Teddy is a sweetheart, seemingly. She is a virgin. We gotta have, the show loves to stigmatize sex. We gotta have our virgin. She's a virgin. She seems super sweet. She's very excited that it's Clayton. She, said stuff about how she had been looking through the cast of Michelle's season before it had been announced that it was Clayton, which like makes me feel like I'm like, it had to be like literally a week, because we knew pretty early on that it was Clayton. And she's like, I pointed it to the one that I thought was the cutest, and it was you, blah, blah, blah. They seem to have like a really good connection. She even said, she's like, I don't want to kiss him tonight. But they make out like twice, and he gives her the rose. He keeps saying that he has really good vibes with her, that he has like really good, he's like, feels some kind of way with Teddy.
Yeah, no. I mean, what I noticed with Teddy is that she has like an attraction, like an all around. Her personality is very bright and bubbly. She has like nice big hair. She's beautiful, and her personality seems to stand out. Like, she is not shy. She's looking like she's like very herself right now, and just because she's a virgin doesn't mean she probably doesn't know how out here to get a guy, and when she's probably out here making out a lot. So making out is her thing, and you get her
The queen of a makeout.
Yeah, you get on those lips, and it's over. You're gonna give me the first impression rose. So I kind of really like that. She was really humble about getting it. I don't think she was like throwing it at anyone's face. And there was a couple other girls that I thought might have got the first impression rose. I mean, she obviously made a good first impression, but
it seems like Rachel might have gotten it, because she had like a really good combo with him, and like they were vibing heavy, and like she thought he was grabbing the rose for her, and even like some of the other girls seemed like they thought that as well.
But
So
I think it'll be interesting to see how that plays out with her, because most of the time with these first impression rose, they're given to the girl that they like the most. Like that's the first impression.
well, it's always iffy with the with the
Guys.
Bachelor seasons,
Yeah.
because the Bachelorettes they are almost always in the top like 4
For sure.
if not the winner.
So what
But
do you think the science is, or behind the thinking behind the guys when they give the first impression rose? What's the difference in thinking, you think?
I don't know. I just think women know better.
Yeah.
I just think like, I just feel like what, we've seen from watching the show, the amount of times we've watched the show and reading about things, I feel like a lot of times, like a lot of these women tend to go for one guy and like are feeling that one guy for majority of the season, and maybe have like different, feelings here and there for other people. But I feel like with the dudes, it tends to be like, depending. I mean, even like I'm thinking Nick Viall's season, he gave the first impression rose to Rachel. She made it to his top like 3. So like, I'm not saying that they're like always like so far off from being whoever, but I just think sometimes they're not. They're more. Their eyes are flitting around a little bit more.
Yeah. Anything else to come out of this season premiere of Bachelor?
Not that I've written
Did
down.
anything stand out from you from previews of the season that we get?
Oh, I mean, they keep showing us supposedly the top 3.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if this is going to be some editing, as I said on my Tipsy Talks on our Instagram stories, as some editing mojo jojo. If they're doing some tomfoolery with some of that, because it seems...
I'm sure they are.
It just seems like, I'm like, why are we blowing our load like multiple times? I just don't understand.
This whole season is like blowing your load. Like, I mean, didn't they announce him as the Bachelor before the Bachelorette season actually even started?
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, like we always say, the first episode of these shows is kind of like just kind of getting your hands a little dirty with like the season that's about ahead of us. We really start diving into these characters of the the cast as the show goes on and stuff. So I'm looking forward to getting to know some of these girls and seeing their personalities come out. As the show progresses.
It looks like Shanae, like in the previews, that they do try to like go against her for something. I think that they try to go against Susie for some shit. It was just funny because they ended...
Oh, yeah. They're like, girl power.
They ended the episode being all like, I'm just so excited to be friends, like such a supportive group of women. And then immediately they cut to like the previous season being all like, you fucking bitch. Blah, 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 like all this stuff. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah, no, that was wild. So anything else out of Bachelor Nation? I know it's a new year, so everyone's probably just, coming out of their hibernation from the holidays, but do we have any other Bachelor Nation news?
No, not that I wrote down. Most of it was just related to this season premiering with, with the Salley stuff and I guess, wait a second. Blake Balake, as we like to say, he is dating Giannina from Love is Blind.
Wow, dude, honestly, she's from here in Atlanta. I thought she's like looking great and stuff. And the dude,
he's dating her.
Well, the guy Damien lives here in Atlanta. We were supposed to try to get him on the show at one point.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, in general, he's just a character. You know what I'm saying? It'd be interesting to pick his brain on these reality shows. But
and it's funny because so Blake and Dean, we talked about it weeks ago. I forgot that it was also Blake's ex, but Blake and Dean's ex is Gabby, who's on this season of Clayton's show. And it's just funny because, like, if you remember from Bachelor in Paradise, both Blake and Dean were going after Kaylin at one point. And so they've made jokes about how, they must have similar taste in women and blah, blah, blah. But it's just...
It's usually they're just going for the hottie. That's all that's happening here.
I mean, all these girls kind of have similar face shapes and looks, to be honest. So,
but yeah, I get it. Well, you're probably gonna have to keep up on that news since I'm off of social media this month, but I'm sure you have it covered. I'm excited about this season of The Bachelor. I mean, I was more into this premiere than I am into most seasons.
I was more into this premiere than I thought I would be. But that doesn't make me, I'm still like very trepidatious about this season.
Right. So, well, that kind of wraps up our talk here for Bachelor season 26 with Clayton. We'll be back for, weeks to come for Bachelor Nation news. So keep it rocked right here. Make sure you're definitely subscribing to us and liking it.
Future Bachelor Podcast.